So this is a potted camellia plant coming out in bloom. It's lovely, comes out every year. Hey, doesn't have too many insects on it though. But here's something really interesting. This is a little hoverfly and he's on a dandelion. And the dandelions are now opening everywhere. We're having our dandelion season. But it's a little early in some ways actually, because it's been very chilly. It's only March. It's been very chilly. I'm actually wrapped up because it's so chilly today. I'm actually trying to angle the camera away from the wind because you can't hear what I'm saying because the wind is blowing through it. But we have a very cold northwest wind at the moment. We had a lovely St. Patrick's Day. It was warm, but it rained heavily the day before. It rained heavily the day afterwards. I'm trying to pick up plants here that are falling over in the wind. But there's a strong northwest wind and it's chilly. It's all coming down from the north, coming down from Iceland and Greenland and whatever, coming from that direction. And the usual reverse spiral, turning anti-clockwise. But at the same time, it's definitely spring, and hopefully in a few days, if all of this calms down, we'll start to feel the weather, because the days are getting longer now, which is great. And there's way more wildlife to be seen. Everything's coming out of hibernation. The birds are nesting, and it's foxes already have their cubs. You can hear them calling their cubs along the hillside there, and sometimes out on the road. So there are everything's happening. But now is the time to keep an eye out for really interesting creatures that could emerge at any, you'll start to see them emerging everywhere. And a lot of plants are flowering as well. And yeah, it's the most exciting and dramatic time of year in many ways. So here you can see dandelions coming up everywhere. And it's more sheltered here, so I can talk. Now there's a lot of hoverflies around. The funny thing is the drone flies were out early this year, but they do hibernate. But these little hoverflies, it's these lovely little hoverflies that are black coloured. Now they have sometimes little markings on them, but they're the real spring hoverfly. I'm trying to remember if the name is Mesembryanthemum or something like that. I could be wrong. I'll have to lift my knowledge of hoverflies. I used to be really into studying them, but I kind of let it slide. I've focused more on other creatures in the last few years, but they are around. Here's a lovely hand. Some of them are not as brightly coloured as others. Some imitate wasps, but many don't. They're just like ordinary little hovering flies. I'm trying to remember. Some of them could be imitating little black wasps, of which there's a few of the so-called white-faced wasps around. But they tend to be later in the year that you see those wasps, whereas these hoverflies are out now, and there's nothing. They wouldn't really be very convincing imitation, but I could be wrong. Now there's something exciting happening. Now this is a drone fly here, hovering up. He's sunbathing, or she. Actually, I think it might be a she, but a long abdomen. And there's also honeybees in there. They've been going for a while, but hovering now near the ground down here is what I'm pretty sure is a male tawny. Oh, there's a female tawny mining bee. Wow, first of the year. That's very exciting. Yeah, out already. The sun today is bringing them out, and she will be digging her burrow, so I won't be walking around here for the next while. These are lovely bees. They've no sting. The female looks like a little furry ruby, sort of orange and red, or ruddy orange teddy bear. I don't know if you can see, she's digging her burrow. It's very hard to see it. She's actually digging a burrow. Here she comes up, walking around for soft ground. They're incredibly good at digging, and their nests are like little volcanoes on the lawn. So there she is, digging her burrow. Very exciting. trying to get the light on my side. I don't want to be standing in the shadow, but there she is. Lovely, the first tawny mining bee, and she only hatched out. They don't hibernate that we know of anyway, and she'll have just hatched out, and she sets off, she mates, and she starts digging a burrow, more than one nest actually, and filling them with pollen. Whoa, I scared her there, I didn't mean to do that. She fills her little nest with pollen, and then she lays her eggs. Now there are parasitic bees that actually try to lay their eggs in with them. The parasitic bees actually eat the grubs, which is annoying, and they eat all the pollen too. But the parasitic bees usually come out later, so the first mining bees, first tawny mining bees, usually beat their cuckoos. So this is exciting, but I won't be able to walk around on the lawn now because the bees will be nesting and I don't want to disturb them. They're very, very rare, extremely rare insect in Ireland. In fact, this was, apart from two specimens, one found in 1927 in Kilkenny and one found in, I think it was 2009 or 2010 in Kilkenny. This was this is the only place where they were known to breed, but now they're breeding everywhere. So basically it was this garden and everywhere else. But now they seem to be pretty much spreading across the country. But we'll see. They feed on Berberis, and if you look over that way in my neighbour's garden, ignore the car sound, but that's Berberis flowering. That's the holly Berberis. His leaves kind of like holly, spiky leaves, and they feed on that one. And also there's this other Berberis over here. I'll just show you. We also have some holly Berberis in there, but this little Berberis here, this is the real spiky Berberis, and those are its flowers. Very small flowers, not as good as the holly Berberis. Berberis, I think they're from North Africa, that's hence the name, like Berbers. But look at the spikes. They're like needles, proper needles. Yeah, look at that, like that's whereas the holly Berberis doesn't have them on like that. It has more like spiky holly type leaves. So anyway, so I'm going to have to vacate this area and just keep an eye from a safe distance of the bees and try and count the nests, which I do every year, and upload the information onto the National Biodiversity Data Centre's website, because they monitor all of the species in Ireland. I'm very bad, I have records all over the place I have to upload. It's very hard to find time, there's too much going on in life, and at the same time sometimes you can be spending so much time uploading records you've no time to actually look at the things. So now, not to be confused with the tawny mining bee, is the larger carder bumblebee, and common carder as they call it. Oh, these are lovely bees. They're actually usually a bit later waking up in the garden. This is probably a queen. She's quite big. They can be smaller than that by a long way. But I'm very fond of them. They're not rare by any means, not at the moment. They have very long tongues though, so if you look at that, they like to feed on vinca. They love vinca. And so do the big bumblebees, the white-tailed and the buff-tails. And then we have these wonderful hoverflies. There's two of them. So it's all waking up now, and there's the big bumblebee, much bigger than the hoverflies. Oh! That was actually a male tawny mining bee. Male tawny mining bee slammed into that bee, possibly checking to make sure she wasn't a female tawny mining bee that he could mate with, but that's the way it goes. Now, you'll see these insects moving along the ground, flying just above it. They're male tawny mining bees looking for females. The females will hatch out, so the males have to catch them quickly and mate with them before another male does. Oop. They're a bit hard to spot, So they're flying quite quickly, desperately trying to find a female. I've shown you videos of this before, but if you haven't seen it, the male has girdle-like jaws, huge jaws, and they wrap around the waist of the female, and he clings on, while if any other male comes, he'll try and knock him, dislodge him. So he has to cling on to the female with those huge jaws, and then hopefully mate with her. And it can be very difficult because there will always be more males than females. The females that come out earliest actually have the most peaceful time, but they're always going to get males trying to mate with them or see if they're available. And sometimes it can really be, but the males do tend to come out first or earliest. There usually be a female not quite as early. The males are out because they need to find a female to mate with. The males that come out earliest are the ones that will mate successfully most of the time, if they're not eaten by a bird first or something. But most of the birds aren't bothering them. Now, as the birds have other things to be doing right now. That's a hoverfly, drone fly. Well, flew off. Back again though. Drone flies do look very like bees, only for those big sort of heads. Oh, wait a minute. Now here's something lovely. It's very small. Let's see if I can get out of the light. Oh, it jumped a bit. This is a nursery-web spider, just sitting there. Really small one. Young one. Looks, could be male or female. I think it's female by the body shape. Anyway, nursery-web spiders, they're related to the wolf spiders and related to the raft spiders, like the Dolomite spiders that live on the water. But they build a nursery web, which is really impressive, and they guard it, and that'll be in June or late May and early June, and then maybe up as far as July. But it's always interesting. They're fascinating. They get a good bit bigger than that. Well, despite the cold weather, it's actually warming up a little bit. But in anywhere there's a heat trap. Here's the heat trap. Although I'm hoping now the sound hasn't been blown away because the wind is pretty strong, and if I see all around me, trees and bushes are shaking like crazy down here, and you can practically see, you can almost see the wind. Anyway, this plant is a forsythia, beautiful plant. No real scent, but it's gorgeous. I don't know what pollinates it, or a lot of its pollen seems to just blow about in the wind. Anyway, I'm going to vacate this garden now and leave it for the next couple of weeks, but only visiting at a distance using the zoom lens so as not to disturb those bees, those very rare bees, the tawny mining bees. They're beautiful, although maybe ruby might have been better, ruby mining bee. Anyhow, and there she is. I'll get a photo this time. There she is under that leaf. Whoop. I'm going to try and get a few photos.